Welcome to Fostering Blooms, the podcast where we dig deep into gardening and all the ways it can enrich your home and life.
Together, we'll explore every aspect of gardening the organic way, keeping it simple, accessible, and fun.
Whether you're a seasoned gardener or just getting your hands in the dirt, we're here to share the tips and insights you need to grow something truly special. I'm Shanna Foster-Boleen.
And I'm Caitlin Blum, and we're two friends on a mission to cultivate beauty, creativity, and connection through everything we grow.
This is Fostering Blooms. I cannot believe that we are recording for June.
Wow.
It really...
How are we here?
I mean, I say that every month, but it's just going so fast. For us in 7B, it's definitely summer when we hit the beginning of June. By the middle of May, I have this just maddening urgency to get everything planted, because really by the time we hit the beginning of June, you are pushing it. Like, I've done it. I can get to about June 15th and there's not much else you're planting unless it's some of the things we talk about, right?
Yeah.
So that's what we're going to go through.
Your summer crops,
yeah.
Which I don't want to jump ahead, but your window is closing.
Yes.
So if you need to plant it, we still have plants,
yes,
but our piles are dwindling. We were just commenting, and we needed to celebrate that. We have gotten thousands of seedlings and plants in the ground. Don't you agree?
Yeah, no, I do. The other day alone, I planted like 75 seedlings. I will tell you that one of the biggest wins from this year is using that auger that my mom got me. The auger on the drill, I mean, it is night and day.
Absolutely. I was using it last night.
Yeah. And I don't think when she gave it to me, I don't even think I realized how big of a difference it was going to make, because I didn't use it that much at first when I got it. And this year I've really used it, and I'm just like, oh my God. So yeah, we've planted so much.
So it's like, how many dahlias are you getting in the ground? I was like, I'm going to put in about 100.
Yeah.
Either tubers or seedlings that we started. It's amazing.
I know, it really is. It blows my mind when you see those little tiny seedlings go to 5-foot dahlia plants in the course of like 4 months.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just crazy to me. Anyways, okay, we'll dig into June to-dos. To start with, this is the time that you should be really harvesting early season crops. Right now, for example, I'm harvesting a lot of lettuce. It's starting to bolt, so if I can't eat it, I'm giving it to friends. Then we've got snap peas that are coming in really well, which Caitlin's gonna get some before she leaves here today. But I still have my kale going. It's still tasty. I'm just getting it as much as I can.
I'm eating my bolted stuff till it's bitter.
Right. Yeah.
You'll know when it's bitter.
Yeah.
You'd be like, okay, she's done. But yeah, I mean, we've been blessed. I mean, stuff's bolting, but it's still edible. Pollinators. Get to have some lovies on those bolted flowers.
Well, my arugula has bolted, and I've left the flowers, but like you said, it's not bitter. The kale has not really produced flowers yet. It's close. I'm doing spinach still. I mean, there's a lot of things that you should be enjoying the effort of what you put in.
Yeah.
And the good news is, even if you missed your window to harvest some of those goodies we talked about, a lot of them will come back around here in a couple months.
It'll always loop back around.
Yes.
Just wait a season or two.
Just wait.
You know what's amazing is I'm thinking about the stages of our bolted items right now. So my bolted kale, it bolted end of April, but that was the stuff that I planted in November.
Right.
I am still harvesting stuff off of those plants. I cut off the bolts, cut off the flowers, and it's starting to grow like little tiny baby kale ones that I've been picking off. I'm like, this is amazing being able to harvest this long off of this plant. And then I have ones that we sowed in January that are now just starting to become harvestable.
Yeah.
So the succession planting went well there.
It did. It really did. And it's pretty crazy when you think about it, because we will probably get to harvest those and have them still taste decent till the middle of June, I would say.
Absolutely.
So you're basically looking at November through the middle of June in Zone 7B for kale, which is pretty incredible.
That's amazing.
You know? Yeah.
I don't think I've ever done that before.
That's great. It's awesome.
You have, I'm sure.
I have, but it kind of always feels new somehow. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't know. I tried different varieties. This is the first year that I feel like my Lactinato kale or dinosaur kale has done really well. Like it's huge. You know, I've basically tripled the size of my vegetable garden when I made those changes going into the fall of last year. So for me, I'm figuring out what to use in this space and how to do things. And I've had the chance to grow things that normally I wouldn't have kept in the ground so long.
Because you didn't have the space
Correct.
to do it.
I could have kept it longer, but I would have had to tear it out to put something else in.
You're right. It's interesting. I don't have anything to put there right now, so I'm like, just let her run. I did finally take out my bolted arugula. I was like, I need to put something here. Time to go to the goats.
Yeah, mine is kind of getting to hang out because I don't have a huge need to put something there. But that leads into the next thing, which is sowing summer crops.
Yeah, if you've got some stuff to take out, it's time to replace it. So here's what we can sow right now. So you can direct sow okra, corn, beans, squash, cucumbers, and melons. So basically all of your summer loving crops, you can direct sow them, which is really nice. You could start them indoors early if you want a little bit of a head start, but we're enjoying, at least I am, not having to tend to everything under the grow lights. I know you're still under the grow lights, but it's a nice little break when I can take that opportunity to direct sow and it's going to do what it needs to do.
Yes.
I'm going to do it.
No, I agree. I'm under the grow lights on zinnias. Some of that seed is so precious to me because of the variety. I really want to give it the best start and get it kind of hardened off and grown up before I put it out. So I've been succession sowing these trays of 72s. So all around my yard, they're all at different stages right now.
Great.
Some of the earlier ones got eaten up a little bit. I've had a lot of earwigs this year, but all of the beans I direct sow. Cucumbers, I do a mixture of starting inside a little earlier and direct sowing. I lost 4 plants to bunnies. So, we're on round 2.
Which eating a lot of wild. You're so kind.
We did actually find a little baby bunny in our yard. Anyways, the point is that all of this stuff, really most of it can be direct sown, although you can start some inside. One thing I thought about today, and I've done a very minimal amount of research, and I'm toying with trying this, is my wife likes melons, like cantaloupes. And we were traveling when the cantaloupes came in and they kind of rotted.
I ate them.
Caitlin ate them. She watched my garden for me.
I did, and I was like, these look really ripe, and they're just gonna rot.
Right.
I was like, we're just gonna harvest them.
Absolutely.
And they were wonderful. They were about the size of a large softball. Mm-hmm. They weren't huge. What type were they? Because you need to do those again for us.
I'm going to, and I'll put the name in the show notes because I agree. I wanted you to harvest them. I don't want them to sit there and rot. Anyways, I think what I'm going to do is, and the reason I'm throwing this out there is because if you have limited space, or even if you have a lot of space, really thinking about companion plants and how to keep moisture in the soil is, I think, a really fun, interesting kind of almost experiment. So along my fence line, I have finally finished out probably another 30 feet. And I've planted in dahlias and zinnias and cosmos and celotias going in. And I really want to put in some borage.
Oh, yeah.
But what I thought about is because it's like this long run along the fence line that I could plant melons. I have like one side of this raised bed next to the fava beans, which will be done. I can put in the melon and let that run down the fence line.
I love that.
As a cover for the zinnias and the dahlias and everything because they're already in. And I haven't even planted the melon yet. So by the time the melon really starts to take off, those other plants will be big enough that they won't get shaded out by the melon vine. The concern that I have is a little bit about powdery mildew could be an issue, and then obviously some pests. Mm-hmm. But I have been looking at some ways to mitigate that, which I won't get into. But I'm gonna try. I think I'm gonna try it.
I love that. When you started mentioning where you were talking about, I said she's gonna put the melons there.
Yeah,
I think that's really cool.
Right.
See, that's my thing is, at our old house, I did grow pumpkins, very viney. Sierra really hated them. She's like, they would just run everywhere and they just don't look kept. They were like all over our fence. They were going across our pathways. She was having to walk around all these vines. I haven't grown a lot of other viney things because now I'm in raised beds and there's grass all around them.
Right.
So there's nowhere for them to really successfully run and do well. I've thought about putting them up the trellis. Yeah, I could try that. So we're going to do some melon experiments.
Yeah. No, I absolutely.
Look at my melons.
Yeah. Oh man, crawl spaces and melons. Oh boy.
We'll show you. We'll show you our melons.
We'll show you.
I'm done.
But the trellis honestly is a way to protect your melons.
You think I should
keep them off the ground?
Yeah. All my trellises are taken up by tomatoes.
I know. No, we got to get you more trellises. Think about it like this. Let's say that you have your raised beds and then you have a patch of grass in between. If you have room for a trellis, you don't have to make a huge raised bed all around the edge of it. You could literally just make a small section for that melon, keep it mulched and well fed, and then just train it up. You really only have to create space for that one thing. And then maybe put some cardboard on either side, throw some mulch to keep the weeds down near it. But you don't have to go crazy intensive and create a whole raised bed, even though that would be beautiful and nice and wonderful if you're going up. I've done it with the watermelons before. It works. You just have to create like a support system underneath it. It could be like pantyhose or netting or whatever to
little
hold
bralettes
little
for
bralettes.
your melons.
You think Victoria's Secret will create some melon bralettes for us?
They should.
We can have like a demi bralette and a full cup bralette.
Depending on the variety of melon you're growing.
Exactly. All right, we really went
Whoa,
way up.
So this is June to do, folks.
Yeah.
It's all about melons.
Exactly. And bras for melons.
Oh
boy.
We hope we brought value to your life.
Exactly.
Okay, what's next? What are we putting out if we haven't already?
Well, if you haven't already, definitely your tomatoes, peppers, eggplants, and basil. I've got everything out except the small handful of eggplant starts. I don't know where they went. I had about 3 or 4 of them, and I'm a little concerned that they got mixed in with peppers because eggplants have a very similar leaf to a pepper in the very beginning. I have done a really good job of labeling. I've been using painter's tape, and I stick the painter tape on the side of the tray or whatever I'm using, and it's been great. So I'm not sure unless I've just missed them. I may or may not have eggplants this year. But the basil is about ready to go out for me, and I do think that if you are able to start basil from seed, it's really fantastic. It's not hard to start. I love to grow like at least 12 plants of basil because first of all, I have become like a basil dealer for one of my friends. She's like, I need basil. I'll drop it at your door. Yeah.
You're a basil
dealer. It's so much better than anything you're going to buy, and you can get different varieties. So good for the pollinators. It's such a good deterrent for certain insects. You can put it with your tomato, eggplant, peppers, any of that. I have a really nice selection of 2 different varieties that I'm growing, and I'm excited that they've come on really well.
You're going to be my basil dealer as well.
Yeah. Well, we've talked about that. That's one of the things about if you have a friend that starts a garden that's nearby or with you, that you can trade. So she's growing squash and I'm not, and I'm growing a lot of cucumbers. So if for some reason your cucumbers don't work, I've got plenty, and so forth and so on. About the next one here.
You need to be mulching because the heat is a-coming. We mulched pretty early. We're trying to mulch as we plant so we don't have to go back and do it. Just get them mulched because it's going to start drying out really quick, and that's just going to help conserve your water. You'll have to, water less.
Agreed.
And you need to capitalize on keeping that moisture in as we head into the hot months.
Yeah. This year I've mulched more than ever before.
Oh yeah. How many loads of mulch? How many trailer loads of mulch have you done?
I've gotten a little bit of freedom this year that I haven't had in years past. The ability to take a trailer and get our mulch ourselves. So we've been getting a scoop at a time, and I have done 10 loads. I did 3 loads last week. I can do an entire trailer in 2 hours, and that is in a bed with existing plants where I'm having to put it around plants. The only vegetables I've done right now, although I am going to add some in, I've done all of my tomatoes, and I'll go through and probably do my peppers because I'm using a hardwood mulch. I'm trying to figure out if I do it with certain things like cucumbers, is it going to be too splashy and promote disease where it won't with, other things.
The thing that I have mulched, I don't get splashy dirt on the leaves.
That's great.
With the hardwood mulch. The other area that I didn't mulch as much everything gets dirty from the splashy rain. So it's really helped
Okay, good.
keep the plants cleaner.
Well, and I love the idea of it like decomposing into the bed. I mean, that's just like awesome. Part of the reason that I haven't mulched in the past is because I only had like those 4 raised beds. I think now that I have a little different configuration with the beds that I have too, I think the mulch will be
This
helpful.
is the first year that I have mulched heavily my vegetable beds.
Yeah.
And really because in the past we've gotten bags of mulch and it's not been the hardwood mulch that we're using, we're getting from our local nursery, that is okay to decompose around our vegetables. And so this is my first year too, and how much it's helped with weeds.
Yeah.
I mean, really awesome.
Yeah, mulch is really important. Yeah. And then we talked about this before, but supporting your tall plants. So, you know, I missed the boat. Gosh, I hate to admit this, but I missed the boat on my peonies. Those are the ones that always sneak up on me.
I miss them every year except for this year.
I know. High five.
But guess what?
What?
My supports weren't tall enough.
Oh my gosh.
So imagine you're a peony and you're just a beautiful tall woman. My stakes went up to their knees.
Oh shit.
So yeah, they were supported and then they just went, you know, and they're still bending on the ground.
Oh,
I was like, oh, they're not tall enough. So next year I'm gonna go at least 6 inches taller.
Yeah.
On my supports, and they just grew really well. It was their 3rd year.
That's why, yeah.
And they just went bam, and I was like, wow, girls, you really put on a show, but mama wasn't ready for you.
I just know better. Part of it is I don't have a support that I like, and the one that I like the best is, surprise, surprise,
It's
the one that
I know.
Yeah, Monty Dawn. It's really simple.
Sorry, it's from England, folks.
Yeah.
I just finished her sentence and we didn't even explain.
Right. It's because you might be figuring out that's happening a lot now.
But they're beautiful. It's iron, right?
Well, I don't think it's iron. I think it's kind of like the metal that you can bend to put your fleece rows over. Sturdier than that, but they take it and they just bend it. I mean, if you're watching the video, you can kind of see it goes up and then it's a half loop and it goes down.
Beautiful.
And you can put one on one side and one on the other. So they're 2 separate pieces. And I think that Joe, who helps me so much, I think he can make that.
Can already say we need to find a metal worker and have him make, you know.
It's one of those things where I think he'd be willing to do it. You can buy those online. They're very expensive. So I think kind of a homemade.
I can't afford.
Yeah.
I want more plants.
Yeah, I know.
I'll make some. I made supports out of grapevines and they looked really cool.
They look really cool.
Yeah, but that's only going to last a season or 2. But the metal ones, I mean.
Yeah, it would be a good winter project.
Absolutely. Put it on the list.
Okay, so, but right now it's really about getting your dahlias supported, tomatoes, any other taller plants you have. One thing I am going to do differently this year too is I just put in all my chili peppers. And I do say chili peppers because I grow things like piquillo peppers and Calabrian peppers, jalapenos, serranos, stuff like that. I'm not a big bell pepper person. With my chilies, what I'm going to do is I'm going to treat them almost like they're dahlias in a flower farm row. I put the smaller tea stakes in and I'm going to do the Hortonova netting and do 2 layers because they will get about 2.5 to 3 feet tall depending on the variety.
They were big and bushy last year.
I set it up so that I can put them in the middle of this long bed, 3 deep, and then on each side I'll have some herbs and some other things to fill in the gap and have that Hortonova netting. So I am using that in the vegetable garden for the first time this year.
That's really cool. Yeah, I'm going to use the Hortonova netting for, I think, the squash and soybeans on that one side, right?
Yeah.
Did we talk about that?
I think we did. You know what else I have and I keep forgetting about that I brought back from England? You know how the Hortonova is like a square?
Oh my God, yes.
And it's jute that somebody made so you can hang it from a post. I was going to drive some bigger post in and then add some hooks so I could hang it and have something crawl up.
That'll be so cool.
Yeah. I really don't want to use plastic in the garden as much as possible. And I love natural materials. So, I mean, this kind of jute netting that they have, again, it's so easily available over there, and here it's harder to find. And another thing they have that I'm really obsessed with is the way they're using leftover wool. They have something called twill, and it's like twine, but it's wool twine.
Why do they have all the cool stuff? Why don't we?
I think we should share some things across the pond. hopefully we have at least one across the pond listener, because my daughter is in England and
We'll pay you.
Yeah, well,
Okay.
she
To ship us goodies.
her best friend Liz's Aunt Celia has a gorgeous garden that I am going to get to see on FaceTime soon. Maybe she can send me some twole, and maybe we can send her something that we have that they would like.
Value.
We can come up with something, Celia. Anyways,
right.
Okay. And then really, we've talked about watering before, deadheading and pruning.
Yeah, so I did this with my roses. I had my first bloom of roses in May. They were so beautiful. I really do love trimming my roses. I don't know, I just really, really love it. And so I've gone through at least one of my climbing roses and deadheaded the whole bottom. I still need to do the top. In the past, I would just leave it. The petals would fall, I would leave it, whatever, and it bloomed a little bit, but now I'm wiser. And so I'm really taking care to deadhead so I can have it rebloom and enjoy it again. And it doesn't take long. A lot of people like to just pinch them off with their fingers. I actually go down 2 or 3 inches and cut kind of the whole stem, or if it's a bunch below that, so it increases and, signifies to the plant grow new shoots.
Yeah.
So it'll rebloom quicker and with more vigor.
I'm glad you said that, because I was going to ask you how you did it. And the rule is that you cut at a 45-degree angle and that you cut above a 5-leaf stem.
Yeah.
So you can go further down or you can be a little bit further down, but the idea is that 45-degree angle is away from the plant and above a 5-leaf. There is a guy out of California who does it below the 5-leaf because apparently where they are, it works better for disease prevention. But at the end of the day, if you can do it above a 5-leaf and you do it at a 45-degree angle, the water will run off. But I'm sure that you don't have to do it perfectly. If you just do something, you'll get something.
I was going to say, even if you just cut some shit off it, you're better
than nothing. Which
you're better than us last year.
She's further ahead than I am, because all of my roses just now really have slowed down on the bloom, and I've deadheaded some of them, but we've had so much rain. I have lost so many leaves, and I already have so much black spot. I don't know. I just get it over here pretty bad. I'm really good about keeping it clean underneath, and I spray. The problem is when I use an organic spray and I spray, the rain washes it off. And then I'm right back to having to spray 2 days later when it's raining 3 days a week. I just can't keep up with it.
Well, no, and then it rained again last night.
Right. My plan is, as we get this little sunny stretch coming up, to clean up underneath, remove the worst of the worst, and deadhead. And then, I'll get a new flush of leaves and keep it sprayed as best I can. Yeah. That's really all
you can do.
That's all I really can do. And I'm not going to go to chemical sprays and drastic measures. I will say with roses in particular, if you're taking those black spot leaves, to make sure you destroy them in the trash. Don't put them in any kind of compost near your house, because it will spread.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Be careful of your black spot.
So, some other things, really looking for pests this time of year, checking the undersides of leaves.
Mm-hmm. Look for those little moths flying around and then you squash them.
Yeah, cabbage moth.
I'm sorry. That is not kind to the pollinators.
Well, it's a cabbage moth and it's going to lay its little caterpillar eggs.
Yeah.
But the big one for me is cucumber and squash beetles are going to start. I mean, they're not going to start immediately right now in June, but by July.
I hate them.
I
hate them.
Yeah.
What do we do? I've physically taken them off in the past.
Yes, you can hand pick. They lay the eggs. Like if you turn over your cucumber leaf or squash leaf, they lay eggs on the back. I hate these leaf-footed hoppers, I think they're called. They came last year. They're a sap-sucking insect, and they were all over my tomato plants. And their eggs are bronze. So I was looking at natural predators for those.
Oh, yeah.
And I came across an article on kaolin clay. And what they do, they use it in commercial production, but it's organic, and you buy it in a bag. I was going to see if you wanted to split a bag with me.
Yes.
And it's a powder, and it's for home use. I think it was 1/4 cup per 3 gallons. And then you spray it. It's this naturally occurring like clay that leaves a little bit of a white powder. Think about it like this. The slugs and the flea beetles are crawling insects, so the diatomaceous earth is good for them. But they're flying, so it prohibits them from landing and laying eggs on the plants. Like something in the clay and the reflection makes them not want to. So they go to other things. And I'm planting trap crops like marigolds and some of these herbs.
Yes, let's try it. Let's do it. Because
Yeah.
I hate squash bugs probably more than anything else.
Yeah. So we're gonna try that. We'll let you know. The other thing in researching that was just how they kept reiterating trap crops, which I call herbs or other flowers.
Yeah.
But the truth is, like, dill is really good at attracting the beneficial insects that you want. That's always my first step, is like, what are the predators? Like, earwigs were really bad. So what are the predators for earwigs? Okay, is there a way to introduce them? Are there flowers they want? And that's why I think
a great way to think about it, instead of like,
Yeah.
how can I spray them away? How can I kill them?
Right.
What else can do that job for me that might be beneficial in some other aspect?
Yes, because the thing with the clay and the thing with the diatomaceous earth, or even spinosad, which I've been looking at a little bit more, is it washes away with the rain. And, you know, we want organic methods. I mean, we don't want something that's so powerful that it's going to survive the rain. But that also means that you have a lot more work. There's already work trying to hand pick things off. But when you have nature balancing itself, then the work is less for you.
Absolutely.
But I do agree with you. The cucumber beetles got pretty intense, but those leaf-footed things, I'm very concerned about coming back in larger numbers this year, because it was the first time I've ever seen them since I've lived in Tennessee and gardened. I've never had them anywhere else.
Man, you've heard things here that have been very interesting.
Yeah, before I was in the city.
Yeah.
And I mean, although we did have quite a few critters, had skunks and bunnies and
But you in the real country now, honey.
I'm in the real country. So we got some real country things.
What about some predatory bugs? Let's buy some bugs. Anything that we can get.
We should talk about that. I have done a little bit of research, but I think that's a good episode.
Yeah, that would be cool.
Yeah.
Okay,
So we'll do that.
another time. So what else? A few other things. Fertilize. Now would be the time to fertilize. Feed your veggies, roses. We've had a lot of rain. So anything I think that we did in our initial planting has been sucked up and utilized and maybe washed away. So we need to revigorate our veggies and our roses now that they've bloomed. Containers. Not very good about doing my containers.
I mean,
Slash
just
do
look
you.
at my face. First of all, I don't have a lot.
Do what we say. Not as we do.
Yeah, I have learned that I love containers. I think they're beautiful, and I've made some beautiful containers, but I am very cautious about the number of containers that I have, because I don't have a drip irrigation system. So I do not want to be watering a container every single day, because that's not my main form of gardening. And even when I have a really big one, they're terracotta, they need water. So if I plant stuff in there, it's going to be really drought resistant.
Yeah.
Or it's like I've got two on my back patio where I'm at all the time, and I walk by and I can go out there and water and I'm good. So
it's amazing how your priorities change, because in the past I would have done like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 on my back deck, 2 or 4 on my front deck. This year I planted 3 in total, and they're hardy. I'm not watering them. They're just going. And because I'm just kind of, the rest of my yard looks glorious. I don't need potted containers as much, or that's just not really my priority, because I've got a lot of other things going on.
If you're like Gracie, your sister, she's definitely going to have to fertilize those, because in a container, they really suck up those nutrients really quickly. They don't have the earth to get other nutrients from. They don't have the worms, right? And all that. So as far as fertilizing for me, I think overall pretty low key. I probably could get some things bigger if I did it more frequently. I will fertilize the roses probably late June, and then I may not do it again, or if I do, it'll probably just be like fish fertilizer. The tomatoes, when I first planted them, I put fertilizer way at the bottom of the hole. I'm talking 1.5 feet down, with a lot of soil on top of it. And then I give them about 3 weeks to a month to settle in. And then I come back and I did a little manure and stuff is in there. And then I come back and I'll do a slow release granular fertilizer.
I'm going to do that this year. I've not done that before.
I'll do that here in June. And then after that, it's just going to be either like a watered seaweed fertilizer, or I haven't done foliar feeds before, but I am looking at doing a seaweed fertilizer foliar feed, so I'll keep you posted on that. But otherwise, I'm pretty low key. I have been very lucky with my onions. I fertilize per the instructions in the beginning, and then I haven't had to use any kind of spinosad or anything to keep pests off. My potatoes seem to do okay. They could definitely use a foliar feed right now.
Mine could too.
So I might do that. But I think with fertilizer, listen to the episode that we just dropped in May, and we talk about it quite a bit. And I think you just find your pace and your peace with that, and don't. I feel like people stress out.
Yeah, don't, because I've not been a huge fertilizer in the past. This year I've kind of dug into a little bit more in an organic way. I think if you start with a good base, your compost, leaves, if you have that base in place, then you shouldn't need to worry about it. If you can and you want to do, but don't let it keep you up at night.
And I did that with the cruciferous things that I grew, like my cauliflower, my Romanesco, my cabbage. When I planted them, I added in blood meal, and they're huge. I mean, those plants are massive, and it was just enough with the compost that I had. Like, I didn't get crazy. So anyways, we'll talk more about that. I know we're going a really long time today on these things, but June has so much to do. If you do have any of your spring bloomers that have gone to seed, you might have some poppies or maybe columbine, but you could start to collect some of those seeds if you wanted to. And then there's a lot of stuff you can start from seed this month. I will put this down in the show notes, but Caitlin, really quickly, could you read some of those for us?
Yeah, zinnias, cosmos, basil, dill, sunflowers, okra, pole beans, bush beans, cucumbers, golds.
Just kind of dancing. I wish if you were listening, you didn't see that part.
So many. Yeah, I actually sowed a lot of this stuff in May. I'm going to sow it again in June.
Yep. And coming up in July, just so you can get prepared, July 4th is the day that I always sow my foxglove seeds.
Wow, really?
Yes. But I will tell you a secret. I've been sowing foxglove seeds successively since February. Yeah. I just keep getting them and then planting them out. But July 4th is like the date to sow your foxglove seeds, and they will absolutely 100% be ready to plant out in October. And then you will have a beautiful, beautiful grouping of foxgloves the next spring. Whether they bloom or they don't bloom, it doesn't matter, because once you get them in, they're eventually going to bloom. They're going to drop their seed. And I have a patch of foxgloves out there that I haven't done anything for 2 years, and they're like 3 feet tall right now, and they're growing. They're spreading.
Great. We need to go ahead now and buy our seeds.
Yes.
Additional seeds that we want to sow.
Correct.
On July 4th.
Yes. We need to buy those additional seeds and things like seed potatoes.
Yeah.
So seed potatoes, and probably in Zone 7B, we might even consider doing another batch of onions, buying some onion starts. Because, this past year in 2024, our first frost wasn't until December.
Let's push it. We're pushing the envelope.
Why not?
Really, we are. We could probably do a whole episode on this, on what we think is the changing of the grow zones.
Yes.
Based on climate change.
Yes.
I know that's opening up a whole nother ball of wax, but it also is opening up a whole nother garden landscape.
It is.
For us and our growing season. So our planning for this is, we're having to kind of change our mindset and what we're able to do and extending our growing season. So let's push the limit.
Okay. Well, let's go get dirty.
Let's go grow, baby.
Love what you hear? Follow along and leave us a review to keep us inspired. If you've enjoyed listening, you can also watch us on our YouTube channel at Fostering Blooms. Let's go grow, baby.